The new song recently from them was it was called Head Up, but I think during the chorus, the one guy yells like "Soulfly," and it was actually Max Cavalero, and he actually formed his band Soulfly because of that song. So,
Cool.
so that was interesting.
Yeah, I like all these little tidbits of trivia. Very good.
Well, it was actually on the radio. I was like, Jimmy Christmas, you guys are. I'm like, Max, you keep yourself busy. That's for sure. For one thing,
Yep.
because he was doing backing vocals on that song, so that was interesting. And then I was able to hear the song. I was like, damn, that's catchy. And then
Yep.
I tried looking for it too because I thought maybe the song was called "Soul Fly," but no, it was actually a lyric during a chorus line from the song "Head Up." So
Cool.
it was actually a bit of a mix with like the raps in a sort of way with like their old style, and then there was always a nice mix of metal. So
Yep. You know what?
I,
I always thought that because I like a lot of hip hop and stuff too. And back when I was in my 20s in the 90s, that's when hip hop and grunge, thrash kind of blended. You know, you get Body Count and stuff like that, and Anthrax doing um oh, what was that track, man?
it was the Killer Bees or something like that, or
No, they did another one with the rap band. Oh my, with Public
Public
Enemy.
Enemy.
Oh my God. Yeah. Anyways, you know what I mean? So you started hearing more of these mashups, and I always thought that the hip hop and really heavy music they just worked good together. And I've done a couple of other mashups since Jay Z and then Snoop Dogg and a couple other ones. Like they just I always thought those two genres kind of blended good. You know, they click well.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
You get the heavy and you get that the groove, the beats. You know. Anyways.
Yeah, I was actually listening to a couple songs from Body Count the other day too, and I know they did a
Yeah.
cover of the "Raining Blood" from Slayer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 They got a few.
you gotta love Ice T though, especially. But I remember seeing Ice T when he was more as the actor in the like
Right.
what was it, Law and Order
Yep.
SVU
Uh,
or
well,
something.
uh, yep, that's right. Yeah, I think he was in that. I remember him back from when he first broke out onto the scene back in, that those early, like, the early hip hop days, but the Compton guys, right? NWA and Ice Cube and all those guys.
Yeah,
That's how I remember, Ice Cube breaking onto the scene.
I actually saw him on it was a different music channel, but I guess they do a Wikipedia fact or fiction.
Uh-huh.
You just hear him go fuck
Yeah.
Wikipedia.
Yeah,
That's what he
yeah.
says. I'm curious if he ever made a T-shirt out of it. I think he could have sold big bucks out of that.
Oh,
So
yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
all right, so the next couple questions here. It's gonna kind of involve YouTube, like how you started with your channel and everything. Then we'll tie it in with COVID too, because
Yep.
you said you got more back into it because you started in like what 2010, and then you got back into it with the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I guess
So,
talk about your YouTube channel, and then we'll lead
sure.
into COVID after that.
So I had this idea of playing the drums and making videos like 13 years ago, back in 2010. And I did one video and it was terrible. I don't even still have it, I don't think. But anyways, I deleted it. And then the channel sat dormant until 2021. So it's funny when you look at like the analytics, from the beginning, there was this like huge 10-year gap and then poof. Anyway, so that's kind of how it started, Brian. And really, when I started the channel, it was just the music for me to maintain my sanity. But I figured, I remember when I saw Benny Greb in the clinic that I mentioned earlier. Two of the things he mentioned in the clinic were to practice, practice, practice. So every day. So I made a commitment to myself, even if it's for 15 minutes a day. I'm going to hold the sticks in my hand and I'm going to do something, practicing. I don't care what it is. Even if it's nothing, I'm just going to hold the sticks and drum. And then I figured, okay, I'm going to record myself because that's another thing he said. He said, practice, 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 practice. And he said, it's great if you can record yourself because you can see what you're doing. Excellent advice. So that was the premise behind my channel. And then it went a little bit farther from there, Brian. I've been in IT for the last 20 plus years, and I want to retire in the next 7 years. I'll be 60. And my plan is in the next 7 years is I want to retire if I can swing it. And if I can make a little bit of money from doing this YouTube stuff on top of my pension, that's going to be my plan. And I'm just going to chill. I'm not going to do any more IT stuff. My days are numbered doing those things. And I'm going to focus on my music. And maybe it'll lead to me to doing some gigs, get in another band or whatever. My son's 16 right now. And I wanted to also wait until he's a little bit older. He's almost at that spot, So things are just kind of meshing together. So I'm just going to keep working on my channel, try to post good covers, and just go from there. See what kind of doors it opens up. That's my channel.
I guess when did Canada start doing? You guys did lockdowns, right? When 2020 came around.
They did everything, Brian. It was locked down here. Like there was no cars on the road. You couldn't go anywhere. Like it was totally locked down, man. I work remotely mostly, so I don't even go to the office. It's yeah, it's like it's been locked down. It's better now, but now you're hearing about all these other variants and stuff, and who knows what the heck's going to happen. But yeah, that's where we are right now. That's
I
what
was
my
gonna say you
channel's
guys
at.
had what was the truckers protests over in what
Yep,
was it,
that's right.
Ottawa?
Last year in Ottawa, yeah. And there's been a couple others that smaller ones, but they hushed them up quickly now. But yeah, interesting times, man. All this stuff in the world,
I
weird.
guess did you have any scare with COVID, or were you all okay?
Not really. I'm a pretty healthy individual, and I'm a true believer in letting my body fight naturally. So I'm like most of my life I've been pretty healthy, Brian. So when COVID first started rolling around, I remember seeing some weird videos coming out of like Italy, and they were showing them like wheeling out body bags and filling out trucks, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then after that, I was commuting into downtown Toronto for my job, and I'd be taking the train. And I remember the last time I was on the train, I saw these guys in like hazmat suits in the train walking around spraying everywhere. And what's going on, man? And that was the last day I took the train after seeing those dudes. And yeah, just weird stuff. And I just totally lost my train of thought. Speaking of trains.
Yeah, no way. Actually, sorry, my FaceTime started going off. I think one of my family members is starting to contact me, but we're okay.
Oh, no problem. You got to go? You got
No,
something
no,
to
no,
do?
no, we're good. We're
Okay.
good.
All right.
I'm coming to talk with the parents anyway. But regardless, I know for me, actually, it was funny because I've actually told people about this little story too, how I went to Nashville and that was the first time I actually got COVID on the way back. So,
Whoa. Were you wrecked? Were you like bedridden and stuff like that?
I'd say sort of, only to the sense it was like, I was more fatigued than anything. And then it was like just a normal little cold. I tested positive, but
Yep.
I didn't know if it was like legitly COVID or something like that. It might just like picked up some stuff because it's weird how they test you because they put these little cotton muffs up your
Deep in
nose.
there. Yeah.
Oh my
They
gosh.
go way back there. I know, man. I was like, oh.
I don't know. My eyes are watering too. I feel like, oh my gosh, I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna sneeze after this thing. So
And it's got a bit of that medicinal smell which lingers, after they pull it out.
there's that too. But I think the one time I think I didn't blow my nose, so unfortunately they might have got a good bit coming out. So it happened quite by accident too, because I felt fine, and I'm thinking my dad got it first, and then he passed it on to me. So
You know what, Brian? I'm sure that over the past couple of years, I probably had it. I remember when the pandemic first came out, and I remember there was a couple of days, not long after I was just talking about the train thing on there, where I felt kind of run down and but not like anything unusual. And that was really it. I think over the past couple of years that was probably the crummiest I felt it. But I'm sure that I probably caught it over a period. How could I not? It's
I
germs,
imagine too, but it was always like maybe a brief little chill, for instance, or maybe some sort of
Yeah.
like cold or something like that too. So I think I can
Yep.
relate.
Yep.
So I see what you mean. All right, but it's good to have you along here, Gary. So good to see you made it through. I
Thanks,
know.
man.
I've asked like other people. I guess. Do you know Michael Dion? He's also drummer, and I think he's in and around Toronto too. I'm not sure.
No, I do not. now-
Michael Dion, but whatever.
I'm going to
But,
have to look him up. Nope, I don't.
but you know Mike Lewis too. So I mean,
I know Mike Lewis. Yep.
Mark Young.
I think I've maybe seen his name possibly in comments, but
He's,
no, I don't.
Well, he's also a
it's
drummer nearby
okay.
in Winnipeg too. But he's I don't know if he does mostly Metallica. Well, he's a big fan of Metallica too. But he'll do other sort of covers. But he's really big into drumming too. So.
Is he on your page? Or you guys do you guys interact?
He did show up on my podcast, yeah, and there was that, and we also did the Metallica Orion drum collaboration. So
Right on. Yep.
so that's him. So
Okay. You know what? Bigger guy, beard.
yeah,
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yep.
sorry
yeah,
about
he's
Jack
got
Black. Sorry, look,
yeah. He's got the blue drum kit, right? The blue acoustic kit. I think it's blue. It's like
it's
a
something like
sparkly
that.
blue. Yeah.
He said
I know
he's
who
like
you're
a Frankenstein sort of set too, but
Yep.
yeah, but he's a cool dude. It's nice
Right
to
on.
see some Canadian drummers. We're expanding our influence.
Damn
throughout,
right.
throughout Canada right now.
Team
And,
drummer, man. Team drummer.
and the other one is actually in Newfoundland, right in the Nova Scotia area. Lee Rosevier was actually a guy I interviewed a while back.
I don't know Lee. I'm gonna be looking through more of your videos, Brian. Catch up on the community here.
There's a good bit, so brace
Right
yourself.
on. Yeah.
Actually, I think now with all these ones going like close to an hour, because we've actually almost near that point too. I think I always gotta just break out into 30-minute segments. That way, it at least covers me for at least 2 days. Because it's hard business trying to do like 3 days a week. Because
Oh, I agree, man. You know what? When I first started doing this, Brian, I was doing a video every single day. That's all I would do. I would finish up work, have a quick food, and then I would throw on my headphones and I would play for, hours. And that was before I realized that I was bothering anybody in the building. But yeah, I did that for like 3 months. And all my earlier videos, I've redone a lot of them now, but there are a lot of mistakes, just rushed. That's 24 hours of memorizing something and cutting it onto video. And but I was happy because I made a commitment. I'm going to do a video every single day, and I did that. But after 3 months, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it like 2 videos a week because then I want my stuff to be better, and I don't want to have to keep revisiting things, right? So, and now what I've noticed now, I did that for a while. So 2 videos a week, and then I'd say in the past 3, 4, 5 months, maybe 3 months, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do one a week. I'm going to try to do one every Friday, and I was posting a lot of shorts, so I have like 200 videos online. So I'm like, I'll do 1 video a week, and then I'll just take some of my existing videos, cut them up into shorts, and I'll post them 1 a day, right? That should keep a good stream of stuff. And I did that up until maybe early February. And then, so now I've slowed right down. Now I feel like I'm recharging a little bit, and I'm kind of like observing my analytics. So I'm kind of like recharge, observe mode, squeezing and cover here and there, but my pace is totally slowed down. But I also think the quality is better. You know what I mean? So there was like a natural evolution of working on songs and creating the videos for me. That's what I think.
yeah, but mine always seems to change a little bit because I do like drum covers.
Yep,
Usually
and
on Fridays.
right, and you're talking to people, right? So yeah, you've got a way more active schedule than I do. I just do covers. I don't talk to people because I'm a social spaz.
Well, there's also the whole thing. People are also doing like shout outs. Like I know Ash Wells and
Yep.
Eric Henninger, Drum Ag.
Yep.
I know
Yep.
they're
Yeah.
something I got to compete with that. So,
Yeah.
so
Team
that's what I
drummer,
did in the
man.
grip
Team
show.
drummer, man. No competing. No competing.
So obviously, yeah, but I like it's actually kind of a little fun for me to be honest. So that's why
I know, man. I'm teasing you.
No,
You know what? It spurs innovation. It makes us think of doing new things, right?
Well, I also got the idea mentioning about Nashville earlier. I actually got the idea from Johnny Cash when he used to do his own show, and he bring on all these country music stars and everything too. So I was like, I'll just call it the McGrip Show, and then
It's a good idea.
so
I've seen other guys do that. The other guy you interviewed, John Hoff, was it? I remember he used to do stuff with Drum Man 190.
yeah,
Those guys would have their guys. I saw Benny Greb on there. Those 2 guys interviewing Benny. And I'm like, wow, that's cool.
I didn't actually see that one, but I think
Yeah. If you go to Drum Man's site, or because I was more following Drum Man, still do, but I thought I saw it on his site. I just saw the John guy on your page actually is when I saw him on there. So yeah, it's cool. That's what I mean. I was saying earlier, seeing a lot of new faces, new music popping up. It's cool. This whole YouTube community, drumming community.
I think the one I did see with Drum Man, it was actually Thomas Lang, believe it or not. So
Yeah, I saw that one too. He's another guy. I love Thomas Lang, man. Thomas is good. There's a couple of tips that he's given that help my drumming that I would pass on to anybody.
I literally tried to reach out to him too, but I kept getting it was a separate guy, but I guess they worked together. So
Sure,
I was
it's
trying to get him on.
probably his PR guy. And you know what? I follow him on Instagram, and he's busy. He's like, you see him all over the world. He's popping selfies, but he's like with all these awesome musicians, all the different parts of the world. So no doubt he's really busy.
Oh yeah, I think I have to follow up though. Maybe see and get him on eventually too.
You never know. I'm sure one day that he seems like a pretty cool guy, man. So I'm sure he'd take you up on that.
I don't know if he was Austrian or something. Thomas Lang.
I think so, or German. Yeah, I think he's part of that German. I thought he was German. I know there was like Benny or Annika Niles is another one. She's a really good drummer. Thomas Lang, I'm pretty sure he's German. Jost Nickel, he's another really good German drummer that I follow too. Yeah, there's a group of them. The Germans, very accurate drummers.
The accurate drummers.
Very accurate drummers, precise.
Get to the chopper. That's what well, that worked out with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's Austrian, so that's a good story.
Right.
All right. But all right. Well, we had some fun right here, but I guess let's jump into some more fun questions right here. But
Sure.
since we were talking about cartoons earlier, especially with how slapstick used to be, I guess what was your big cartoon way back in the day?
I like the Looney Tunes and probably the Roadrunner. I always liked the Roadrunner series. I thought they were funny as hell. Wile E. Coyote always trying to catch Roadrunner and failing miserably. I think those ones bring back some memories. And then
That's really
they had a really good series on Saturday mornings, the Hanna-Barbera series with Yogi Bear and all those, right? Those are really that'd be my Saturday morning wake up, my PJs eating bowls of cereal, watching cartoons, you know. Good
yeah.
times.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think I do remember actually being a part of that, and I really wish I knew which other ones. But I think Scooby Doo was another big one.
Oh
They
yeah.
also did it on that.
Yep.
I actually do remember a video game of Scooby Doo, and
They had a Scooby-Doo video game?
well, they had a couple, but
Yeah.
I forget what this one was. It might have been Night of a Thousand Frights or something like that. I'm not too sure,
Oh,
but
okay. All right.
I
Sounds
remember
like one of
beating
the
it.
episodes.
Actually, I was almost 100% done, but I couldn't find one Scooby snack. I don't know where the hell it was. It drove me crazy. And I mean, I had everything else. Well, maybe a couple tokens, which had like the previous villains or
So
something like that.
you're a completionist, huh? You wanted that 100% completed batch.
I mean, I was right there. The other thing too was I wasn't really doing like any other video games. Figuring, all right, I'll just see if
Yep.
I can complete it and see if there's maybe like a secret ending. They just leave and then we just immediately
Yep.
start to a new game. So
Yep. Yep.
other games, not so much. I mean, I'll try to beat it for the storyline, but if it gets too boring after a while, I'm just gonna be like, okay, I did what I could. I beat the game. I beat
Yep.
the
I
game.
got
Come
you
on.
there. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I'm at least happy there. And then what else was there? I know Tom and Jerry was a little bit, and
What was Inky in the Brain? Remember that little mouse? And then
Pinky in the
bigger
Brain.
Pinky in the Brain, right? Always trying to take over the world.
You know what?
That
Actually, I
was
did see.
that was when I was a little older, and actually that brings on. So I would have been in my latter teens, but the Futurama and all those kind of like the Simpsons. Clearly, I mean, classics. Futurama always cracked me up.
Yeah, they would. Actually, I think I read, or somebody actually told me. I think a friend of mine told me they were actually writers from originally Family Guy, and then they
Right.
broke off from there and they went off to
You
form their own shows.
Yeah, you can see that, and the animation, but also the stories, right? You can kind of tell it's a group of guys,
And from
same
the humor
dudes.
too. So
Yeah, or the same people, I should say.
I was trying to figure out what else because I know Ed and Eddie was actually another one that I started getting back into. I realized how funny it was and how much I actually do miss the show.
Yeah, and Archer, like we were saying earlier, that's a classic animated show. More
That's gonna come
evolved,
a little bit later.
obviously.
I think it was like
Yeah, yeah,
what was it, like 2016 or something like that,
yeah. It's probably around there.
something like that. But
Yeah,
I guess move on to the next one right here. I guess what is your
sure.
favorite alcoholic drink? I forgot to actually phrase this question the right way, but because I was
Sure.
copy pasted from somebody else. But what's your favorite alcoholic drink? And I guess then what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
Okay. I'd say, and the name of this one's funny. There's a beer that I started drinking that comes out once a year, Christmas time here in Canada. I don't know if it's available in this. It's made by a company called Cowbell, first of all, and it's a white stout. So it's like a Guinness. Are you familiar with the British beer Guinness? The dark stout, really thick, creamy. It's like a meal. This is a white stout, and it's flavored like a vanilla chocolate. It's the most delicious beer I've ever had in my life, Brian. So they sell them in these tall boys once a year. So I'll like hit the liquor store and grab them like by the 6, 12 packs. That's my favorite drink. Alcoholic drink. Favorite non-alcoholic drink, probably. I would say probably a Virgin Caesar or a Virgin Pina Colada. If I'm sitting on a beach somewhere, soaking up the rays, probably that. I like the coconutty flavor of that Pina Colada, and I like Caesar. So.
So I guess why they call it Virgin? Is it because is that where the brand's from or something? Or
Well, they call it virgin because there's no alcohol in it.
I mean,
That's what we call them here in Canada. I keep on thinking that everybody, we all, everybody knows what the hell I'm talking about, right? All these different words and stuff. Yeah, we call them virgins here. What do you guys call them in the States if it's just non-alcoholic?
I mean, I would have just thought it'd be clean or something like that, or just say non-alcoholic on the label.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. I like virgin better. It's dirtier.
it's something like that. Or they'll just
I'm
poke fun
kidding,
at you too because like, oh, you virgin.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Exactly. Right. It's cruder.
Something like that. I see what you mean too. All right. Actually, I will say, since we were talking about Germans earlier, the
Yeah.
best beer I ever tasted was in Bavaria from the Hofbräuhaus in Munich. Absolutely the best beer I ever had. So strongly recommend it if you're ever there.
You're a German background?
I am, yeah.
Cool, man.
It's mostly mostly from my dad's side.
Right on. I think mostly from my dad's side, somewhere down the line. My family is from Spain, but on my dad's side I think it came from Switzerland, possibly Germany, I think there was an I in her name, so it would have been Heinrich at one point. And on my grandma's side was from France, so I think they met and then went to Spain. But I think I've got some German roots in there too. The Germans.
St. Germans. I was going to say 1+1 = 2. There we go.
Right, there we go.
We put 1 and 1 together right there, then we ended up with this. So there
Right.
we go.
Yep.
All right. So in terms of the drum covers, is there one that you would consider has been your favorite so far?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I thought about this question. It's a good question, Brian. And I would say I don't have one favorite. I have three for different reasons. And the first one would be Motorhead Whiplash. And that is because that song helped me figure out something with my drumming that had cursed me for a long time. And that's my left hand. I always had really good coordination, I would say. I could make things go, right? But I could never get the finesse bounces, the fine stuff, the rolls and all that. Always, my weak left hand was weak. And in Motorhead Whiplash, I never really realized this, but to play that song, you got to be able to do single rolls, just bump, 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 bump. And I think it's 163 beats per minute. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to practice. I wanted to play the song. I'm going to practice doing my rolls, 163 beats a minute. I did it. I got them pretty good. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get them to 180. So there's no problems. I got them to 180. And I'm like, I'm going to see if I can get them to 200. And that's where I capped it. But doing those single rolls, Brian, fixed my left hand thing. And I've played my whole life. I've played drums by ear. I took lessons when I was a kid, remember? And it never clicked with me. And my whole drumming career, I have been the kind of I have learned how to play the drums by myself by listening to music. So I always figured the more I play it, it'll just come to me. I'll figure it out, right? Well, it never did. And you don't know how many times I took these drumsticks and put them down in frustration and walked away from my kid because I'm a Taurus and I'm extremely stubborn. And it took me a while to realize that the rudiments help. So though doing those single rolls, that Motorhead Whiplash helped me figure out my left hand stuff. And that started making everything else I started doing around the kit easier. All the other rudiments, I started seeing paradiddles, everything else. I'm like, oh, it's easier now. So Motorhead Whiplash for figuring out what the hell my drumming was, my left hand. The next song I did was Van Halen, Out of Love Again. And that's just an awesome song that Alex Van Halen plays. It's the hardest song I've ever played. And I'm probably going to redo it at one point. And I've got a really funny story about that song, but I'll tell you about it another day. So that's my favorite song because it's the hardest thing that I've ever played. And the last one I'd say is Fool in the Rain that I recently did a cover of. It's my own beats playing it. And I've wanted, that's the song that made me wanted to get into drumming when I was a kid. I have wanted to play that song since I was a little kid, Brian. And I did it recently. And it's funny, at the end of the video, you can catch me put my hands on it. That moment was like a goal that I'd reached, So I was really proud of myself at that moment for doing that. So I would say those are the three songs that are my favorites. I don't have one.
Sorry, I can relate to some sense too, because there are a good number of songs that are some that stick with you for a good while too. So I can see
for different reasons, right? So yeah.
Actually, you might combine the two together because one of the other questions was there ever a song that was too tough for you to play, and did you either give up or come back after a while? So was that the Motorhead song?
Yeah, probably, and I won't give up.
Okay.
So if I've got my eyes set on it to do it, I'm going to do it. So yeah, I don't think I might put a song down and not work on it for a bit. I might revisit it later. Like I've done, there's a couple that I've played that were trickier that I tried before and I just couldn't play them really well. But now that after a couple of years of playing, I'm noticing that I can play things a little bit easier. So I'm revisiting some of those older songs, right? So yeah.
Fair enough. And actually, it's funny when you were mentioning Whiplash too, because I keep thinking of Metallica's Whiplash though. Something like, was that what he's talking about? Because I don't remember Motorhead doing a Whiplash.
Yeah, Motorhead. Listen to it, man. It's really good.
All right.
I think it's Motorhead's cover of Metallica's Whiplash, or is it the other way around? I got it, but yeah, I think it's like Motorhead's done a couple of really good. They did a really good cover of "Sympathy of the Devil," the Stones track. If you've ever heard that, it's another good Motorhead track. Motorhead's got some really groovy songs, man. Yeah, I like Motorhead.
They just molded it into their own. But yeah, I have heard the "Sympathy for the Devil" song. So
yeah.
All right, and the last of the fun questions.
Yep.
I guess what is currently your favorite song, or one that you've been listening to a good bit?
I haven't really been listening to anything in particular, Brian, to answer your question. And I just go through stuff. What I'll listen to is a lot of my own stuff. I'll just rewatch I like to look at my videos and see what I did wrong, where I can make improvements. But one song, probably. You know what? I don't have one, man. That's nothing that I've been playing. So there's my question. None.
I mean, you always hear at least one, or at least one that like clicks after a while too, especially if you hear
Yeah,
it on the radio.
nothing, man. No, lately I've been like, I've just kind of like been recharging, just observe, recharge. I haven't really, I did a song today, but I've been taking it easy a lot.
I'd say you have to listen to maybe a song a good bit if you want to like do a drum cover of it. So I guess that's maybe where the question was also kind of leading to. But I guess what was the song that you were like doing a drum cover on recently?
I did one today, Aaliyah. That's probably that's the most recent one today. Last week, I don't know, I've been doing one every week. Mix it up. I like to do, like a funky track, throw in a heavy track in there, some old school stuff, hip hop, kind of mix it up. I figured when I first started doing this, Brian, I thought maybe that's good and might be bad because some person might come onto my site one day and see a Motorhead song and go, wow, great. And then come back the next day and see Beyonce and go, hey, man, where's the other dude? You know what I mean?
Who is this guy?
Unsubscribe, right? So it's, I'm sure that's happened. But I have also noticed a lot of people that like myself that like lots of different types of music. So, and I get a lot of comments on that too. So it's good.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, man.
All right, so we are down to the last question right here. Did you have any questions for me or any other words you want to say before we jump into it?
Actually, I wanted to ask you something. You got into this through Rock Band?
Drumming?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually it was. And I forget when it was, specifically like which year it was, but I think it was during my high school years. And it was actually a Christmas gift. And we got the full set. It was just like your typical drum setup with just like the 4 pads and then the kick pedal.
Yeah.
Then everybody else takes up the vocals, guitar, and bass. So we have like our 4
We need a drummer.
Well, actually, I don't know who did it at first because I was doing the guitar and stuff like that. So I was the one the girls all wanted to make out with too. So that's what everybody wanted to do. So, yeah, it started with that and it lasted a good while. Even going up to Rock Band 3 when they started like doing the cymbals, just like blue was going to be your ride, yellow was your hi-hat, and then green was the crash. They only did like one crash cymbal really, so that's really all you had. So
let me ask you a question. So did you notice that you had some coordination that said, I want to try drumming? Is that when you kind of noticed it?
Actually, really, to be honest, I was just kind of stuck with it. And then my parents were just like, hey, do you want your own drum set? And,
yeah, sure. What the hell? I like that initiative, Brian. I like that initiative.
Actually, it was my parents who brought it up. And I think looking at it then, because part of the story I was also telling too, I was putting like towels underneath my love seat that I was sitting on too, because I was sitting real low. So I mean, the drum set's probably up to my diaphragm right here, so it's of course not very ideal considering like how it normally is for drummers. We want to set up real high, maybe where it's somewhere where our belly is, or maybe right where the waist is. So there was that, and I think it just flew one day. I was like, maybe I could get into drumming, maybe take it up as a hobby and see where it goes. So
I think that's awesome, man. And it's funny that I saw that in one of your videos, because right around the time that I bought that original TD1, I was at a friend's house and their daughter has that Rock Band, and they said, hey, Gary, get on there, because they knew that I played drums a long time ago. So I hopped on there and I was like, that kind of put the seed back in my head to get that newer Roland TD1 kit. So anyways, it's funny. That's the only question I had for you.
Actually, it is pretty funny, but a lot of people have asked that question normally, but it's always good to like tell the story too. So,
I think it's a great story, man. Yeah,
I'll reflect back afterwards and be like, geez, I can't believe I actually got into drumming that sort of way too.
Yeah,
but it's also funny, you see like, video games were good for something.
It's cool, man. It's cool. Love it.
So we weren't just like shooting up Russians or blowing off Nazi zombies with like the heads of Nazi zombies, for instance. So we're not violent.
It's not precise shooting.
But we're also hitting colorful notes. We're trying to be like, or at least imitate musicians with like the instruments here, because we know we probably can't play them the full way unless we fully commit to it. So you see what I mean. So
yep.
All right. Was that your only question, or did you have something? Anything else?
Yeah. I'm good. All
right. Give me. All right. So the way this is going to work is we're going to jump to this last question right here, and then we're going to end the main interview.
Okay.
And then we'll jump into 2 questions from my patron, Rick Griffin. But
sure.
The last question does kind of go like this. Because of what COVID has done, And considering some of the damage it still kind of leaves behind, especially now with like all the variants, as you mentioned earlier, too, I feel like these days people need some sort of hope. So, what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there?
Well, I think music is good for us all. Personally, I know for myself, it makes me feel really good. So my message would be to continue doing it, play every single day. I find that music puts us all, even if people are not musicians, puts us in a positive space. So I think in the efforts of creativity and creating a peaceful environment, we have to do our duties and make music, Brian. Yeah, that's what I would say, man. And especially in today's, it's tough these days, right? So we can all use pick-me-ups. And I know for myself, being, I was mentioning that I was isolated a lot, alone here a lot. Music has helped me. It saved me pretty much, man, from going crazy. So I see the value in it. And I think everybody, maybe it's not even music. Maybe it's, maybe they like to knit sweaters or go out running or do whatever. But I think it's important that everybody do whatever it is they love to do for at least 5 minutes a day. So it puts us in that positive space.
Knitting sweaters. We're not at that age just yet. That's supposed
Some
to be.
people.
That's supposed to be in the rocking chair at some point when we're actually doing that in front of the, or it might be more of like the southern in the U.S. sort of deal. So that's what
Sure.
people do. They have a house in the south, and they'll just like start knitting that stuff out
Yep,
on board to the rocking chair.
Yep.
So
There's a hole in my bucket. Remember that song? Dear
what was
Liza,
that?
dear
That sounds
Liza.
familiar.
That was from like an old Hee Haw TV show, and there'd be the old guy sitting on his, on his. It's like
Oh,
the
those
classic
guys,
American
yeah.
picture with the pitchfork, right? And he's got his wife beside him, and he's complaining to his wife that there's a hole in the bucket. He's
I
telling
think
him
it
to
was.
fix it.
I thought it was like picking and grinning or something like that. Now that I'm thinking
Something
about
like that. It's an old when we were kids, right? But
it.
anyways,
Actually,
that's
that
the
was
thing.
well before my time, to be honest. So that
How
was
old are you,
something.
Brian?
I'm in my 30s actually.
Right
So
on. Cool.
so
A little bit before your time.
very much before my time. Needless to say. But for your message, spoken like a
Yep.
true prodigy. So thank you so much there, Gary.
No
All
problem,
right.
Brian.
So, Gary, we reached the end of my podcast right here. I guess, did you have any shout outs or any final words you want to say?
Yeah, I'd like to say a shout out to Rob King, who is the gentleman who very kindly introduced me to Moises and opened up that whole avenue to drumless drumming. So I
Rob
want to say
Kingston?
Rob King, Rob J. King.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of somebody else.
Yeah,
I
no,
think, I
he's
think there was another drummer. His last name was Kingston, but I think his first name was Rob. So that's
this
why
is
I was
Rob
thinking
J.
like,
King. He plays a lot of stuff, and a really good drummer, based out of Texas, and he's been really nice. I've had other people mention, "Oh, you're a fake, you're playing like on top." Because initially, when I started doing this stuff, Brian, I used to play on top of the music. I would set my volumes to be louder, but I was playing along with the drummer. And Rob was really. I had, some people say like, "Man, you should like, in a not nice way, alluding to the fact that I should do my own drumming, right?"
yeah.
Rob was really nice. He was like, "Hey, Gary, you can use the software and you can do this." And then I was like, "Hey, man, thanks a lot." And I did it. And anyway, so that was like opened up a whole new window for me doing stuff. So I
Well,
want to say
unfortunately,
thank you, Rob. Thank you, Rob. And I want to say thank you, Brian, for having me on your show, man.
I was a good thing it wasn't a can of worms. Otherwise, that probably would have been bad. So that's good to hear. All right. That's good to hear. And,
Cool.
I've actually thought about Moises, but I don't know how to get on my computer. That's the downside. I know I was
You,
able to get on my phone, but
you can download it, Brian. You can download it. There's certain things that you will get on your phone. Actually, I think even on now you can do it on the computer. But there's like you can have count-ins on your phone, right? So it'll count the music in for you, especially if it's a song that doesn't like it. Boom, you just kick it into it, right? You're trying to time it.
yeah.
So there's that, but you can download it on your computer. I've got it on my. I do most of my removal on the PC. I don't do any of my streaming from my phone, like music or anything like that. But yeah, you can get it on your computer.
I'll have to figure it out, but okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Cool. If you
All
have
right.
any questions, let me know. I'll tell you about it.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So, everyone, my guest today was Gary Henrich, hailing from Canada right here. And we're actually going to call quits on the main interview here, but I got two more questions from my patron, Rick Griffin. And if you want to actually see what Gary's answers are to these questions, make sure you head over to my Patreon page and become a patron today. Other than that, we're closing it out right here. So, Gary, thank you again so much again for coming on. Stay safe
Thank you very much, Brian, and thank you, everyone.
and stay tuned, y'all.
Thanks, buddy.